Well, hey guys, David Stone here from I-Fearless. And what we're going to be doing, I'm going to try to do anyway, is do a daily video. Short one, 5-6 minutes or something. And obviously our theme is living fearlessly. And so many of us carry around so many anxieties, so many worries, so many fears that block us from the goals that we dream about, from the life that we want to live. I know I spent so many years living like that, and frankly, to this day, I still work hard to, but I've recognized that this is such a barrier to the life that I want to live, and that I work daily, frankly, hourly, by the minute, minute by minute, to make sure that I'm not controlled by those fears, controlled by those anxieties, that's not where my life is focusing. And that's really what I want to talk about this morning is focus. A little bit about focus, because it makes such a huge difference for us where our minds are focused, whether we're living in fear or whether we're living in joyous anticipation of the things that are yet to come. So, when we spend all our time, all our lives, all our days, from you wake up in the morning, sometimes it's in the middle of the night, and our focus is on the things that either have gone wrong in the past, are going wrong now, or may go wrong in the future, that really derails us. It sucks the energy right out of us, and we've got no energy left to focus on the joyous things, the things that are going right, the things that are really wonderful about our lives, the things that are coming your way if we allow them to. And so I just want to reflect on this a little bit this morning and talk about some of the things that have caused us to be this way. I read a thing recently. Jack Canfield shared it in in his Success Principles book, and I was just rereading that last night. And that is that we grew up, parents, God bless them, whether you, obviously you had parents, but whether you might be a parent now. One of the things that we do as parents, and that parents generally do, and teachers do it, and coaches do it, is we focus on the things that we've done wrong. So, your parents were fine, and as long as you were behaving, and that was great. But it was when you did something wrong, when you misbehaved, that that's when it hit the fan, and that's when things got emotional, and that's when the anger erupted, and it was directed at you. And it was the same as your teachers. They'd mark your test, and they'd put a big red X beside the things that you did wrong, rather than a green check by the things that you did right. And your coaches, when you played in sports, it was when you missed the ball, or missed the tackle, or struck out. That's when you got the attention. I remember one of my sons played hockey, and he was a goalie. And I always thought it was really awful for goalies, because when they get it right, then the play keeps going. But every time, if the goalie gets it wrong, what happens? Well, the red light flashes and the buzzer goes and everything comes to a stop. And so let's all focus on what you did wrong. But what I want to do is see if we can't shift to focusing on the things that we do right. And that takes practice, and that takes training. We haven't been trained to do that. So there's a little exercise that I love to do for myself, and I want to share with you. And that is to sit down and focus for a minute. Go back in your life to before you were 18 years of age, before you were 18. Find 3 things that you did before you were 18 that you were really proud of, that you thought were just fantastic, real wins for you, or real accomplishments for you. Now, what might that be? Well, maybe you earned a merit badge when you were in Cub Scouts or in Girl Guides. Maybe you aced a test at school. Maybe you wrote a poem and read it to the class, in front of the class, and that made you feel really good. Maybe it was something in sports. Maybe you won a medal. And these things, we felt so good at the time, but we tend to forget about them, and we don't relive them. For me, I remember I was always interested in mechanical things, and I loved cars. And I remember when I was probably 12 or 13 years old, I actually built a little go-kart, a motorized go-kart. My dad had a garage and a basement full of old things, old lawnmower engines and stuff, and I bolted this thing together and found some wheels and put it on. And I'll never forget the day that it actually ran. Surprised the heck out of me that it was actually running, and here I am bouncing across the lawn on this thing. My eyes were like this because I thought, wow, I've actually done this. To this day, I can remember the joy that I felt in that moment of achievement. And what did you do? What about the next phase of your life, either when you were in college or when you got your first job? Do you remember getting your first job and how good that felt? Somebody hired you, somebody said yes to you, and they believed in you. And how cool was that? And then later on, as you got older in your 30s, what did you do? Accomplishments you did. What about right up until last week? What was something you did last week, yesterday, that you feel so good about? But the problem is we tend not to focus on those. We focus on the things that went wrong because there's so much emotion attached to the things that go wrong. Because we're so upset about those things, they stick in our minds. So what we need to do is go back to the great things that we've accomplished and relive that emotion so that we're just as attached to the things, the victories in our lives, the accomplishments in our lives, as we are to those failures. In fact, we want to become more focused on them, because the truth is you've had far more victories and accomplishments than you've had failures, and yet we tend to focus on the failures. And so going forward, we're focused on the things that might go wrong, and that adds up to anxiety and worry and fear, and that just drags us down. It's like this gigantic anchor that we're pulling behind us all the time. So why don't you give a try to that little exercise today and see if you can focus on some things. You might struggle to remember some things. I remember one woman in a workshop, she couldn't remember a single thing before the age of 18 that she'd done that she was really proud of. And it took some coaching, but finally she remembered that she swam competitively in high school, and she remembered winning a medal in a swim meet that she was in. And the look on her face when she remembered this was just wonderful. It was filled with joy and delight. And that's what I want you to feel as well. So why don't you do that today? Spend just a few minutes thinking about things that you've done in the past, way in the past, recently in the past, that are your victories, your wins, your accomplishments, your yeses that you got chalked up there. Remind yourself of them. Re-feel the emotions that you felt in that moment. Go back there and remember that's the same you who is there today. Still that winner. Still that person who accomplishes wonderful, great things. So I'm going to leave you with that for today, with that thought. And I'm going to come back again tomorrow with another fearless living tip for you. Have a fearless day.